This box cake recipe alteration was motivated by the high egg prices this year and the fact that I like meringue frosting on cakes. Basically, I wanted to see if you can get away with using just the yolks to make the cake. So if you like meringue frosting or you're making a cake and have an unrelated use for the egg whites, keep watching to find out how this turns out. The recipe calls for 3 eggs. If you followed the directions and want meringue frosting on your cake, that'd be 5 or 6 eggs total. You'd have to take out a loan for that. I blatantly disregarded almost every aspect of the box recipe, starting with some hot coffee instead of water. Lots of people who seem to know what they're talking about do this to enhance the flavor of their chocolate, so I'm going to do it too. I mixed it just until combined to bloom the cocoa, although I don't know how effective that was with all the other ingredients in there. This is a risky way to separate eggs if you intend to use the whites for anything that requires whipping. If I had punctured any of those yolks, it would have made it impossible to whip the whites. You also want to make sure that the bowl you are putting them in is free of any residual oils. It's safer to separate them over an extra bowl one at a time, so if you break the last yolk, you have only messed up the 1 egg and not all of them. I did this because it was easier to film. Notice how I'm striking it against the side of the bowl. When you break it on the edge of something, you risk sending shards inward and breaking the yolk. You know how it said to use half a cup of oil? Well, here's a big old stick of butter. Fat is fat, right? Yeah, they don't teach this in baking school. Probably for good reason. Maybe I should have melted it, but this ended up working okay. I was expecting this to turn out more dense and brownie-like because of the lack of egg whites, and since I associate butter more with brownie recipes, I figured I should nudge it further in a brownie direction by using butter. But in hindsight, I don't think that was necessary. Also, in an attempt to make these more brownie-like, I didn't beat it on medium for 2 minutes. I beat it on low until the butter was mixed in and then on medium for about 40 seconds. The whole point of beating is to incorporate tiny air bubbles into the mix that the leavening agents can fill up with CO2. I thought less beating would make this turn out more dense. I turned out to be wrong. Perhaps because it took so much work to break up the stick of butter. Here's a hefty portion of mint chocolate morsels to make it taste like St. Patrick's Day. Let's add a little more, why not? The box said to bake at 350 degrees Fahrenheit, but I set my oven to 325 just to be rebellious. This is embarrassing. I overfilled the heck out of these. By the time I realized what should have been 24 cupcakes was only going to be 11, it was too late. Oh well. Since his batter is so thick and there's no egg whites and I didn't beat it as long as I was supposed to, I'm sure that these won't spill over the edge onto the bottom of my oven. Ha ha ha! Whoopsies. Okay, that could have been worse. The temp is between 200 and 210, so I guess that means they're done. If you need to know how long it takes to bake overfilled cupcakes this size, it's about 40 minutes. As I have been alluding to throughout the video, I was surprised by how much he's still puffed up. It made me wish I had just baked a regular double layer cake. Oh yeah, I have some egg whites to beat up. I didn't make the meringue correctly. I don't think I whipped it enough before I added the boiling syrup.
Oh, these are awful. Look how stupid they look.
Man, I was all excited to have some tastefully decorated cupcakes for my thumbnail, but I got this. I couldn't even find the green food coloring for the frosting that I thought I had. Ugly as they are, I love the taste of these things. Mint chocolate morsels are a good way to liven up a chocolate cake mix. The texture had a drier feel to it, probably because I used butter. Oil gives the illusion of moistness because it's a liquid at room temperature, but butter isn't. At least I think that's why that is. The butter seemed to give it a more crumbly melt in your mouth kind of texture rather than a spongy one. I think it's safe to say you can swap oil for butter in this particular cake mix. So if that's your thing, try using butter. Since this actually rose up the way cake is supposed to, next time I want box cake with meringue frosting, I will probably just follow the directions on the box with the exception of using yolks in place of whole eggs. This makes me wonder, what do egg whites even do? I mean, I would probably notice a difference in a side-by-side comparison, but as far as I'm concerned, these turned out fine as far as the texture and flavor goes. What do you think? Were you surprised how these turned out too?